as Mrs. Jones was tired of dealing with our troublemaking and transferred to another school. That's when I got really scared. I shrank into the chair and was already preparing for the worst when Mr. Taylor suddenly spoke in a friendly, kind voice. He said he really liked my stunt with the flower pot, but asked me to play such games away from his car next time. My mouth dropped open, but that wasn't even the most surprising thing. The new principal suddenly handed me some paper and asked me to write down everything the students would like to see in the school by the next morning. It looked like a stupid prank, and I looked at Mr. Taylor with disbelief, but he assured me that he wasn't joking and would try to take all our wishes into account. I left the principal's office in shock and told my friends everything. They were so happy. I would have never imagined my classmates had such rich imagination. By the end of classes that day, they had come up with a lot of ideas for improving our school. At home, I wrote everything down on the piece of paper the principal had given me, and in the morning, I dutifully brought it to Mr. Taylor. My friends and I spent the whole day discussing what it would all lead to, but the classes ended and our school stayed the same. That's why everyone went home sad, and I was disappointed in the promises of adults. Mr. Taylor had deceived me in the end. However, the next morning, we were all in for a surprise. I came to school as usual and suddenly saw something incredible. Guys were driving around the hallways on hoverboards. There was a huge queue for cola at the cooler, and instead of the usual vegetables and fruits, we were now offered burgers, pizza, and French fries in the canteen. I couldn't believe my eyes. Mr. Taylor was so cool. He had done everything he'd promised. Beside myself with joy, I went to look at the schedule, but saw a large monitor in its place. Some students and I crowded around it in complete confusion. Had the director forgotten to hang up the schedule? All of a sudden, the screen lit up, and Mr. Taylor greeted us. He announced that our school would now operate according to a special system, and there was apparently no need for a schedule in it. We would be creating our own schedules by voting, and there would be no need to go to lessons at all. Our teachers would record them and send them to everyone by mail. The cool thing was, there would be no more tests. Our knowledge would only be tested by an exam, and it would be ages before it. I'd never felt so free before. Students entrusted me with making the schedules, and I chose the easiest and most interesting subjects. That's why we waved goodbye to physics, chemistry, language, and geography. At first, everyone was doubtful. Was it really possible to just get rid of the subjects? But I assured everyone, of course it was. After all, Mr. Taylor himself had allowed it. Thanks to the principal, I was finally excited to go to school. We've been in such a euphoric state for the whole month. Then one day, Martin came to school with bad news. It turned out that his parents didn't like the new principal's approach and had decided to transfer my friend to another school. I was very upset. But the good thing was, Martin and I were neighbors and would still see each other in the evenings. Besides, I found a new friend soon enough. A girl. Linda had been transferred to our class right after Martin left, and I fell in love with her at first sight. There was only one problem. Linda and I were completely different. While I was lazing about and hanging out in the canteen, Linda was listening to the lectures. She also started making the schedule instead of me, and boring, complex subjects came back into our lives. Fortunately, going to those classes was voluntary, and I encouraged my classmates to play basketball instead. After all, Mr. Taylor himself had allowed it. We had so much fun and were so carefree that we didn't notice the exams creeping up. But Mr. Taylor was supposed to be holding them, so we came without even preparing a little bit. After all, our cool principal would definitely allow everyone to use cheat sheets. I'd already opened Google when Mr. Taylor suddenly walked into the classroom. I froze in horror. He wasn't alone. Our formal principal, Mrs. Jones, was there. And then she told us something that made everyone turn pale. It turned out that Mr. Taylor was a friend of Mrs. Jones and an employee of the Department of Education. When things had gotten out of hand, poor Mrs. Jones had complained to her friend, and he had come up with a great plan to teach us a lesson. Since we wanted freedom so much, Mr. Taylor had chosen our school for an experiment. The idea was that students would plan their days by themselves, do their favorite things, and at the same time achieve good results. And now it was time to see what we had used our freedom for. I looked at my classmates and saw gloomy faces. No one had been expecting such a turn. Of course, we failed the exams. Everyone except Linda. She had nailed the tests and was now free from cramming, and the rest of us would have to retake the exams in 2 weeks. Right after that, I got surrounded by students. Just imagine, they blamed me for everything. Like I was the only reason they had been doing everything but study. I didn't make any excuses. It's always easier to find someone to blame than be responsible for your actions. That's when I suddenly realized that I had been doing the same thing that whole time. I had constantly been telling everyone Mr. Taylor had given us permission to stop feeling guilty for my laziness. But now I had a chance to fix everything. I didn't know how to memorize 2 months worth of study in just 2 weeks. I spent the whole evening racking my brain when the doorbell suddenly rang. I opened the door and saw 2 people I hadn't been expecting. Linda and Martin. I was immediately seized with anger. Why had my friend come with the girl I liked? But everything turned out to be completely different from what I was thinking. Martin and Linda had the same idea and ran into each other near my home. At the new school, Martin had successfully passed the exams, and after hearing about my troubles, decided to help me prepare. Linda had decided to do the same thing. I couldn't stop smiling. I had the best friends in the world. All that was left for me to be completely happy was study the materials and help others with it. The next morning, I made an announcement in front of the students. I invited everyone for a study session with my friends so that we could spend the holidays without any worries. Oddly enough, everyone quickly agreed. For 2 weeks, we met in a cafe and studied for hours. Linda spoke about the seas and continents so fascinating that I caught myself thinking something weird. I wasn't just in love with her, but also the subject. Martin quickly explained mathematical formulas, and I grew excited. Every evening, I opened the textbook and solved equations much more quickly. Our efforts weren't in vain. The whole class successfully passed the exams, and we all started our holidays together. But before that, I apologized to our principals for my behavior and promised I would improve in the next year. Mrs. Jones shook my hand approvingly, and I was about to leave when Mr. Taylor suggested we play football with the other guys. We did well. Now we can relax, he said with a smile and called me to the playground. Thanks to his lesson, I realized what it was like to be truly free. Do what you want, but be responsible for all of your actions. I can do it now. And what have your mistakes taught you? Tell us in the comments down below.